there's nothing wrong with making other people happy. Keywords there being making and happy. That we can force or manipulate people into happiness, and that this is a good thing to do, and we're proud of ourselves for doing it. Nice guys and people pleasers tend to separate emotions into two categories, good and bad. Sometimes you might call them positive and negative. Usually the positive column's pretty small. Happiness, calmness, excited but not too excited, pleasantly surprised. There's like a few that you're allowed to feel, and everything else is in the negative category, right? Anger, sadness, disgust, offense, confusion, the list goes on and on. Basically anything that isn't happiness is called a negative emotion. Why? Where'd you get that from? The idea that there's negative and positive emotions. Sure, there's some you prefer to feel over others, but do you even know why you prefer them? Why is it that you notice that some people are quite content with being angry or sad? They seem to have no problem with that when you do. Why is it that you find those emotions to be negative or unpleasant and other people don't? Where did you get it from that there is such a thing as a good emotion or a bad emotion? Notice that happiness usually for a people pleaser gets the highest ranking in the hierarchy of emotions. So if you were to list out your emotions from best to worst, happiness would be at the top. Again, you have to ask yourself why. Why is happiness at the top? Because it feels good? Is that a good reason for it to be at the top? Has happiness done the most for you in your life? Is happiness the emotion that's carried you through all the tough times? Is happiness the emotion that's got things done and made progress on your goal? What has happiness done for you that puts it at the top? And why are the other ones at the bottom? Because of this hierarchy, we tend to also label negative emotions or people experiencing negative emotions as weakness. So if someone even has the emotion or expresses it in some way, we think of them as weak, and we think of ourselves as weak. When it happens, we're worried about being seen as weak, being judged as weak by others if they catch us being angry or sad or confused about something. Of course, because we see this as weakness, we automatically assume there's a need for some sort of correction. This needs to be fixed in some way or prevented. But why do we think of this as weakness? Why do you think of those emotions as weakness? Is it because there's a sense of losing control? But you don't have any control over your happiness either. So why is happiness a strong emotion and the others considered to be weak? And here's the key question. Why do you think it's wrong to have a normal human emotion? Where did you get that idea from? There's no other animal on this planet, no other mammal, that has any sense of shame about any emotion. If any of you have played with a pet dog, you'll see that they'll go through the full range of emotions and they don't suppress themselves at all. It's only humans that do this. Why? Why do we think it's bad to have emotion, especially when we can't actually control it as much as we'd like to think we can? So we make it our job to manage everybody's happiness, don't we? We decide, look, happiness is the goal for everyone, and for some reason I'm going to put on the crown and make myself the king of emotions and control how everybody feels. I'm not even going to let people be sad. I'm not going to let people be angry. I'm not going to let someone stay confused. I'm going to get in there and fix it for them even without their permission. And should I mistakenly come to feel one of those emotions myself, I'm going to stuff it down into a little box and lock it up and talk myself out of feeling it and assume that that's a healthy way to live. Who gave you the job of managing everyone's emotions? It's not a hypothetical question. At some point in your life, probably someone did give you that job. Quite often, nice guys and people pleasers come from a home life that's unstable emotionally. And this happens in one of two ways. Either they're coming from parents who are people pleasers, so the idea of suppressing emotion is already in the family culture, or they come from emotionally unstable parents. Maybe one loses their control all the time, or another person's really locked up and frozen and cold, and it becomes your job as the child to make everyone feel good. They literally give you that job. So who gave you that job? And do you really still want it? Is it not exhausting to be in charge of everybody's emotions? And notice the double standard. You consider yourself to be in charge of your emotions, but you don't consider others to be in charge of theirs, like you're somehow superior to them. Like you can manage yours, but they can't manage theirs. I'm going to need to do it for them. A little judgmental, no? So you use tricks to control people, don't you? And don't pretend I make people happy is a nice thing to do. It's a manipulative thing to do. Maybe you use humor to force them into laughter, into happiness. Distraction, so when they're going towards anger or sadness, you distract them away from that. You break up potential arguments before they happen. You kind of throw people's attention off what's going on, take them away from the truth, which is a form of lying. You cheer up the people that are down. You calm down the people that are too intense. You use rational argument to try to talk people into reason, talk them into not feeling something, the same way you do to yourself. You use agreeableness and submission to make someone feel better about themselves, even if you have to be false, even if you have to compromise your integrity, you want to make them feel like they're right because that will make them happy. Invalidation and approval, compliments and recognition, and again, doesn't matter if it's false, right? As long as it makes the other person happy. And you think all of this manipulative behavior is good. It's a good thing to do, even though if someone manipulated you to this extent, you would be absolutely appalled. You have to let go of the idea that there's a hierarchy of emotion. That's simply not true. All emotions play critical roles in helping us have a high quality of life. Without sadness, we can't process change. We can't grieve. We can't move on and adapt to crisis and things being taken away from us. Without anger, we don't have assertiveness, we don't have courage, we don't have passion, we can't move forward. How are you supposed to protect yourself and those you love without anger? It's not happiness that makes you stand up for yourself. Without confusion, we don't have the temptation into curiosity. We don't have the ability to learn if we aren't first in a position of going, I don't know. If people avoid confusion, they don't get to that place of admitting that they don't know. They get what's called a conservative psychology. They stick with beliefs even if they're wrong. Can you not see how dangerous that is for society and for the individual? Why would you stop someone being confused when all they're doing is being humble about the fact that they don't know, which is the truth. We don't really know anything. When you try to prevent or intervene with people experiencing these emotions, you harm those people. You're doing damage to their long-term quality of life. You're taking away their ability to grieve, their ability to stand up for themselves, their ability to learn new things, and on and on and on. You're taking these things away from them with your little tricks. All because you think if someone's happy, they'll like you more. Actually, that's not even true, as we've already discussed. You have to allow uncomfortable emotions to occur around you for the benefit of other people. You're not doing them any favors by making them happy. It's not your job, and it's not even the best thing for them anyway. Now, a lot of you will believe that some emotions are negative because you see them aligned with bad behaviors. You think of anger and violence going together. Think of sadness and suicide going together. Think of confusion and somebody throwing a big tantrum going together. But actually, emotion and behavior have a separation between them. Not everyone who's angry is also violent. Not everyone who's sad kills themselves. There are people who can process and react to emotion in quite healthy and helpful ways. I'm angry right now as I make this video. That's how I express anger. I make content that helps people. How could you say that that's harmful? Now, I used to be someone who'd punch a hole in the wall. But the punching the hole in the wall wasn't an anger problem. It was a response to anger problem, which is different. Do not blame emotions for your behavior. Just because you've done bad things or other people have done bad things while feeling an emotion, it's not the emotion that made that decision for them. They had other options. They chose. It was their decision-making process that is the fault. The emotion is just a feeling. It's just power, sense, source. It's just stuff that you can use for good or for evil. It's neutral. So you need to separate that blame. If someone's behaving badly, it's because they chose to. It's not because they're feeling something. Put it this way, psychopaths feel very happy when they're hurting people. Are you going to stop being happy now? Just let them happen and express them like a child. I'm angry. I'm sad. I don't like that. I don't know what to do. You don't need to explain it to other people. You don't need to justify it. If someone judges you as weak, just walk away from them. You don't need that kind of person in your life, and stop doing that to others. If someone else says, I'm sad, you go, yeah, I can see why you would be. Do you want a hug? But you don't say, well, you shouldn't be sad because blah, blah, blah. Or, actually, have you seen this funny video? You don't do any of that. You just let them be sad. Two people are angry and having an argument, sit back and watch the show. It's their job to sort that out, not yours. Now, if people start getting violent, you might intervene, but until that happens, until bad behaviour really starts to happen, people being emotional is not a problem. Let them fight it out. Let them feel what they're feeling and let yourself feel what you're feeling, and focus on controlling your behavioural reaction rather than the feeling itself.